Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Productivity Mastery. I've been on the road for a number of weeks, which is the reason we didn't have an episode for the last few weeks. But hey, here we are. I'm back, and I'm here with somebody that you definitely enjoy listening to. And before I introduce him, I would like you, Peter, to to tell the origin story of Batman meeting Robin, right? How did we two meet? And I
How did we
didn't,
meet?
yes, I didn't dress in black because I want to be Batman. It was just an accident. But like, what was your impression? Like, first time we meet, give us the story. Give the
Well, we
audience the
met
story.
in Maribor the first time. Is that right? I think
Yes,
that's right. We
yes.
did. It was an event a few years ago during COVID, and I live in Croatia, and you're where are you? You're in where are you right now?
I'm in Bulgaria, in Sofia right
Bulgaria,
now.
but you weren't in Bulgaria. Were you in Bulgaria when we met?
No, I
I
think
think you're
so, maybe.
Denmark. Was it Denmark or something Nordic country maybe?
Yeah, I
No,
could have been in
I don't
Denmark.
know.
Yes.
Anyway, we met there. We met at this event, and straight away we hit it off, and it was really because I see you. I've seen you so many times on LinkedIn in terms of the events that you do, in terms of the speaking gigs, and so I've always got to looking out for others that are doing the same things, same kind of sphere as me, and it was really good to meet you, to chat with you, and then I think at that point there we agreed, listen, wouldn't it be cool to actually jump on the podcast together and just have a conversation, a chat, and jump into all these kind of like ideas in terms of storytelling, in terms of engagement, in terms of what we do to share to other people, viewers, to help them kind of figure out and navigate their way in terms of their public speaking journey as well. So finally, 3 years,
4 years later.
4 years
4 years later.
later, we are quick, me and you. We do things sharply, and we're
The
here four
longer
years
waited.
later. Yeah. So whatever we plan next, it's going to be 4 years. So
Here
I
you
can't
go, man.
wait already.
We have to prepare, man.
Yeah,
We have to prepare. No,
absolutely.
but it was a really cool event because it was in the middle of COVID and there was all these restrictions and the guys, they really wanted to do the conference. So it was more like a TV production than a conference because they flew us in to these studios in Maribor, actually TV studios, and they were streaming the conference, and only you, me, and I think it was Diana, somebody like a third
Yeah,
MC.
it was a
Three of
third,
us were
someone else.
there
Yeah,
live, and everybody was home on Zoom on their pajamas, right?
yeah.
So
So
it was fun.
it was
It was
fun, strange
exhausting though.
environment, but it's a, those studio environments are, I love that. I really love those because your attention to detail has to really rise, right? So all the planning. So in many ways, those kind of studio environments are far more planned, are far more
Yeah,
attention to detail, timing as well. So even in a live event, you might think that's even more nerve wracking because it's live, but often without a kind of studio audio, without an audience, and without a live environment, when it's through the camera and it goes out to far more people, in fact, live, things can be even more intense and more pressure. So, and I kind of like that. I like that pressure, and I guess you do too,
it
as well.
was one of the most planned screenplays. I mean, you do a lot of events as an MC, actually more than me, and I mean, you have a plan, you have a script, but I remember it was like now you have 2 minutes, 37 seconds, go.
Yeah,
It was like very much to the second, which was kind of
yeah,
interesting. But you deal with that a lot more than me, by
yeah.
the
I
way.
like I like
Let me
this. I like
introduce
this.
you.
Yeah, the studios. The studio ones are really good.
Why don't you give us the very brief introduction about what you do and what are you
Sure,
focused on these days?
sure. So I essentially help people to share better. Two parts of what I do really help people to really share better stories, to kind of find those stories, nurture them, and then deliver them in terms of on a stage, let's say as a keynote speaker, in the boardroom, for example, or within their teams, leadership roles within their teams, helping helping share messages in a way that connects even more and resonates more with whoever they're talking to. So a lot of storytelling coaching, pitch coaching, and helping, as I say, people to gain more conversations, leading to hopefully fresh new business as well. The other side of my job, as you mentioned, is representing event organizers, companies or organizations, institutions, as their host, their MC. So I shape the stage experience for, as I say, for a whole host of different event organizers from a whole host of different sectors as well. So from composites to marketing to EV to football to sports to a whole range of different sectors. I'm kind of like the face of the event, whether it's a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, sometimes even five, a whole week as well, and creating the right energy, but more so helping audiences to really get ready and feel good about why they're there, but also make sense of really what's happening, helping them essentially make better decisions at the end of it as well. So those are the two kind of areas that I'm involved with. So the coaching, and then helping people to do what I do on stage, and helping them move forward. So those are the two main areas, really.
How did you start it?
How did you start? Three
I mean,
three
question
words.
is, the question is like, did you? I mean, I wouldn't imagine you are like sitting and saying, "I want to be an MC and I want to
No,
do all these things." What was the?
no. Well, listen, I guess I go right back, in fact. And so I worked, this was when I was something like 18 as a student job, working so I'm from London, working in the West End of London, Theatreland. And I worked at a variety of theatres, both backstage and also front of house, right? So front of house is essentially when you walk in, these are the people that greet you. They serve you ice cream, sell the programs. That's the kind of front of house, help you to your seats, and that's that. Also, I work backstage. So backstage on certain productions, that could be the person that's kind of helping with the costumes. It could be I could be helping with the stages itself, or just somebody who's kind of helping out wherever he or she can. Right. So I did that a lot, and the thing there was I used to watch the performances every single day. So we had like every day a performance, sometimes twice, with a matinee as well. And so I was, fascinated with the actors, fascinated with this whole performance, how it was all put together, but also every single night. And often I would do comedies, right? Because I worked at the comedy theatre. So they would be like comedies. So you would see and feel the same performance every single night, but often the actors would do something slightly different every time, something really subtle, something different, and timing was so important as well. And so this connection with the audience, in terms of helping them smile, helping them feel good, and then those moments of laughter that were all, it's all staged, it's all like plans strategically, everything is put together to create this wonderful moment of joy. I'm like fascinated watching that. And then so as my career kind of developed, I then started work for a tour operator, a big tour operator from Britain, in different countries, living in Mallorca, Malta, um, Croatia here as well, different countries, France, Spain, Portugal. So a lot of my job there was actually presenting all the great things people could do on holiday, while they're there. So again, I was in a situation where I would be presenting the same thing, always presenting the same thing to 200, 300 people 3 or 4 times a week, in order to, the goal was to get them to have a conversation with me, to help them, to sell to them, the certain products and certain services, and the great trips they could do while they're on holiday. Many times it would go well, right? And so when things go well, your confidence rises, all is good. Many times it didn't go well. So I'm doing the same thing. How can that be? I'm doing the same thing all the time. So my confidence is high, but why am I not always getting the same results in terms of selling products? So some months, and in those days, well, I guess it's the same today for many as well. Essentially, it was commission based pay. So if I didn't sell, I didn't get any money at the end of the month, right? So it all depended on the quality, all depended on on how I did those presentations really at the beginning of their holiday time, which determined and defined my pay at the end of the month, right? So I would think to myself, I would often think and really, really sort of deep dive, maybe a bit too much, into what am I doing wrong or what could I do better? And I discovered there were many small little details I could do to change what I'm doing. And that again, it reminded me of when I was working in the theatre in London, at the Comedy Theatre. The very small, subtle things you can do with your voice. You can manipulate, or change the way you say something, change the way you feel about something so that people feel differently about what they're hearing as well. They judge you. We're completely judged constantly, right? We're constantly being judged. So being comfortable with that, but also being in control of the things that you're sharing in terms of your body, in terms of what you say, the words you say, how you say those words, you can get closer to helping people feel the way you want them to. We can't make people feel the way we want them to. We can't make them do that, right? Right now, we might have this idea, me and you on this podcast, to try to get people to feel certain things. We can't do that 100%. But what we can do, me and you, we can control the way we share our messages. We can control the way we feel about what we want to share. And so it gets closer and closer. You increase the chances of someone feeling the way you want to, and then that hopefully translates into action. And in my case, it was them coming up to me and say, listen, I want to buy that trip to wherever, to the coast, or to a market somewhere, right? So that was really that big transition. And then from then on, when I left that role, in terms of presenting, in terms of setting role for a British tour operator, I kind of then just continued with sort of business communication, as a corporate trainer, and then moved really onto the presentation and the storytelling side. So what I do
Can I pause you
now,
for a second? Can I pause you for a second? I,
yeah.
I think it's interesting because you said I'm moving to, but tell me more about this part because did that mean that you started your own thing
Yeah,
and
so I,
first
I
step in entrepreneurship kind of? I think that's an interesting part of the story.
Yeah, well, I left the so I was here in Croatia, and I met a young lady, and I got married to that young lady. So I left the kind of tourism side and the selling side, and then I went on my own into business training, right? Business corporate training, and part of
What
that,
happened there?
yeah, I know what I had. Well, again, I had. I had not many options, right? Not many
Okay.
options. So I had to do something that I felt I was good at, or felt I could do well, and I felt I could do that. That took time to develop, and then when I really sort of jumped into the kind of presenting and the storytelling side, really helping, really focused on helping those that need that help, and finding those people that need that help, then things started to take off, and then sort of couple that together, marriage that together with the presenting and being comfortable in front of large crowds, and very, very comfortable in trying to get messages across. It kind of worked very well, in terms of presenting as an MC, as a host at large conferences here in Europe, and Dubai, Riyadh, and around the world. So that is really where it all started. So we go back to the theatre, just observing, just constantly observing, and knowing that through the work I did in tourism, presenting and selling, that was really my area where I kind of learnt the trade, right? I learned how to, I focused, really sort of focused on those very subtle differences that you can think about, and there are so many things we can do. And so everything I do on stage, it's kind of like I kind of, it's very automatic now, because I can sort of naturally feel all those things. But in the beginning it wasn't like that at all. I would do great presentations to certain people, and then I would do a great presentation to another group of people that I thought was good, but obviously, no, it didn't work because I didn't sell well. So I had to kind of accept that and change things as I move forward. So fast forward to today, again, it's all about helping those people that need that help, that need to build up the confidence. But it's far more than just that confidence, and that getting over the fear of public speaking. It's far more than that. It's really all about the words you say, feeling comfortable and confident with what you're saying. And once you get through that, then that fear, that judgment can start to reduce. But yeah, that's where we are today.
Quick summary, those of you who are listening. And by the way, I told you, Peter, right before we started recording, I've met many people in the past couple of months who are either interested to become professional speakers or interested to become better in public speaking, so they can attract more customers, become thought leaders, and still do what they do right with their company, for the company they work for. So I think it's super interesting what you're saying, and also I hope you guys are picking that. There's no one role to become a professional speaker or an MC. Peter used his strengths. It was this experiences he managed somehow to end up being it, right? Like with observing these people, then the tour, the opportunity to present, and he had an opportunity to learn and to develop a style that right now, if you see him on stage, he's unique. You cannot say I need another Peter Hopwood because there is none like him. And he developed this style by all these kind of experiences, a lot of work. I mean, now you go to his LinkedIn, amazing stages, biggest conferences in the world. He's shiny, right? Looking amazing, but I gotta tell you, this guy's preparing. This guy's preparing. It's so much repetition, so much preparation that sometimes we don't see. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, Peter.
Yeah, listen, yeah. Well, thanks. So firstly, thanks for the compliments. It's lovely to hear that about what I do, and the impression that you have of the work I have. And so, we the job we do is people see us on these stages, let's say, or they see the photographs of what we do, or some of the video, and that's just obviously the kind of outward side. That's the job we do, and that's people, they see the job we do clearly, right? And that's for most people. We only see kind of like the face, or the kind of end product of what people do, right? In a lot of jobs, right? Especially in media, right? But in fact, yeah, clearly there's a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see, that people probably would be surprised about as well. It's not an easy. People might think it's an easy job, right? It's not for. It's not. It's a job I love, and it's a job that I really feel I can excel at. And it's a job where I'm developing. I'm constantly developing, stronger than I've ever been right now. But it's not easy, right? So it's like continually trying to do better, continually trying to um, figure out how you can connect even more. And it's not always easy to do this, because if you stick to always the same thing, audience are different, people's expectations are different. Different industries have different expectations as well, right? Event organizers have different expectations. So you work with one event organizer and it goes absolutely perfect, right? Everybody, or that main decision maker, really likes you, appreciates you, values your work, you values the extra things you do, right? And then you go to you'll work with another event organizer where actually maybe the work is not as strenuous, less days in terms of on stage exposure, and they don't, right? So accepting all of that. There is lots of rejection in the work we do. You get that as well. We spoke about it earlier. Also, being self-employed, working for myself. I'm constantly reaching out. I'm constantly. I mean, again, it's something like, I don't know, 60% of my work is reaching out. The other 40 is recommendations or people that I've worked for before. So it's, people, doors are always opening for new MCs, but and there are always opportunities. So some like in most jobs, especially in selling roles as well, where that pressure is on to do the work, and you keep knocking on doors, and if sometimes it's really difficult because you go through days or waves where things are not going well for you. But again, it's that mindset of sort of staying calm, and belief that things are going to be okay. Things are going to work out fine. Things usually work out fine for me every year. It's all good, but through the year there are those ups and downs, and those waves we have to kind of accept, and get and feel knowing that not everybody is going to like you, knowing that not everybody is going to value what you do, right? And that's a really good thing, and I think you'll appreciate this as well, Stoyan. When you're speaking to an audience, when you're speaking to a crowd, when you're speaking at a conference, if it's a webinar online, or if it's live on stage, wherever it is, all of your audience, they have the right not to like you. Right? They have the right not to value you, right? They don't have to. They're not there. They are not there to like you or to appreciate you. That's the aim. Hopefully, for the event organizers, and for you as well, naturally trying to get that connection. And most of the time I do that, and probably maybe in the earlier days, I have a higher number of people that maybe didn't value me as much as today, but that's okay. But again, feeling comfortable with that, and knowing that everybody has the right not to listen to you. Everybody has the right to cross their arms if they want to while they're listening, and not look interested. Everybody has the right to show their body language isn't the body language you're looking for as a speaker looking out. Everybody has the right to, if they want to, look on their phones, right? So all of this that's all okay. They can do that. But my job, my role is to gain that attention, and then to keep that attention. And that, as a speaker, anybody at all, nobody owes you a thing when you come on stage. It doesn't matter who you are, the title you have, the money you earn, the books you've written, the car you drive, where you live. It does not matter at all. If you're on that stage, you come out, and your audience, they are giving you their time, right? So you straight away, automatically, you have to give them back the value for the time they're giving you, right? Every single time. The moment you start thinking, moment you don't start thinking that, is the moment where an audience, then they start feeling, well, he's not giving back the value that we deserve. Again, audiences have the right to be judgmental. They can be skeptical. They can, all these kind of adjectives that we think of when we think of maybe connected with that fear of public speaking, when they're judging us. They all have the right to do that. And I'm now at a stage for quite a long time, really comfortable, and you are as well, comfortable with the fact of our audiences feeling that way, and they can. Because right at the beginning, they're probably quite, maybe not neutral, but they're more towards like anticipating something good. That's why they're there. Physically, they're there. Emotionally, they're kind of ready, and that's that, right? But when you come on, if you're not starting to give that value, their emotional connection to you, decreases, and they don't have to listen to you, and they can be physically with you in the room, but emotionally completely somewhere else. And we're trying to get them emotionally with us continually. And that's essentially, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to do, and what you're trying to do, what we're all trying to do on stage. Whether we've thought about that or not, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Beautiful.
Does that make sense?
Since we talk about preparation, absolutely, man. I mean, I'm totally with you on that one. That's what we're trying. That's what our job is. Our job is not to speak or to be an MC. It's something else. Our job is to create an experience, and it comes with getting people engaged and leading them on a journey. So we can lead them to a place that hopefully gonna have a transformation, gonna have an impact. They're gonna increase their frequency, and that's gonna be good for the event, right? There's a lot of different objectives we have, and I'm curious about your preparation process. Imagine I'm an event producer and I hire you to deliver a keynote 3 months from now. How does your preparation process look like?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of preparation and there's a lot of trying to understand and a lot of conversations, right? So conversations to really, if I've worked for them many times, I kind of know already those answers. Maybe they've changed over, each year they might change slightly, but essentially from the event organizer, it's so important for me to know, what is the, what do you really want from this event? What's your aim from this? What do you want what do you want your audience to feel at the end of all of this, right? Where are we going with this? And sometimes it just simply could be, oh, we want this positive experience, we want brand exposure, and we'll take care of the rest, and you just create a nice, good, feel good experience. It could be that, or it could be and it's often something far more than that, where you're really kind of delving deep into the ideas and helping people make sense of the current landscape, and then helping them to make better decisions, as I said earlier, in terms of what they're doing moving forward. So it's really having those conversations about what the aim is, what's the objective, what do you really want people to go away with, what do you want to do differently this year than you did maybe last year, right? What do you want if it's an MC role? What for the MC you had last time, and they may be an event organizer that likes to change it up every single year. And that's cool and that's good. Others might tend to like to stay with the same person and that consistency throughout, and that's good as well. So I work with both those areas, right? So it's really listening to them and figuring out what it is they really want from this, and again, asking about the previous MCs, what was it that they maybe didn't do, or would you like more of? What would you like more of in this event? If there was one thing that you feel that there could be a lot more of in this event, what would that be? And then they tell me, and then I figure out, well, is that something that I do? Is it something I can do? And then I can also share with them a couple of ideas that I've got, ideas and insights from working with, I don't know, it's about 500, I don't know, more than that, events that I've done, some very large scale events, some a lot more smaller and niche events. So sort of giving my input and sharing my ideas on how to really create this really strong, memorable stage experience for the audience that are there, but also often for the audience that are not there, that online audience, or when it's recorded, like this will be, whoever's watching this maybe in the future, online, so you can create that connection as well when people watch and see this event that they weren't at, which might help them think to themselves, well, actually, this is something I fancy going to next year, right?
Yesterday, I did a keynote at an event, and for this event, I was hired by the general sponsor of the event. They had a speaking slot as part of the general sponsor package, and they needed a speaker to deliver a message. And fortunately, these are the kind of topics that I usually talk about. So I showed up. I did my thing, as we discussed before starting the podcast. I don't have nervousness anymore. I'm not anxious on stage, like zero. My only nervousness or anxiousness is, am I prepared enough? But if I know my stuff, I'm just having a conversation like I have with you here, right? And I had a very interesting discussion with one of the people from my client side, a very cool guy, very confident guy, one-on-one conversation. You can see he's a good communicator. He's inspiring. He's charming. And he gave me some compliments, and he said I could never do that. I'm so good in presenting and selling our product in rooms of 10, 20, 30 people. If I have to take the stage and I have to deliver a message, a keynote, I freeze. And and it was interesting, and I'm like, that's interesting. So since you had a similar experience, kind of presenting for the tour guide company, and then you had to expand, and you had to learn to speak in front of larger audiences. I think that's one of the biggest limits and challenges for people to start speaking is their fear. What was it for you? How did you overcome the fear of public speaking, and what would be your advice for people who are trying to deal with this anxiety?
Yeah, very good. We were now onto a really important part of all of this puzzle, right? Which we hear constantly. The fear of public speaking, really battling that fear. But I have to say to you, really have to say that this idea about battling or combating this fear, it's far more than just the fear, because we're both around speakers constantly. We see speakers, lots of speakers, and we see lots of speakers that have overcome this fear because their confidence is high. And when somebody's confident, it's appealing, it's attractive, right? However, and I'm sure you'll agree, there are so many people that have the confidence, but in fact, what they're saying, what they're sharing, the connection value of the value of what they're actually sharing is not as strong as it certainly could be. So if we turn it around, this fear, essentially, it comes in lots of different packages. One of those packages is that judgment, like I mentioned earlier, the 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 the, the feeling of other people judging us negatively. And that essentially, that really is the foundation of what this fear is. It's like, what will people think? What will people, if people's negative opinions, if they have negative opinions of me, that will make me feel bad. Right. So, but again, it's really accepting that people can judge us. People are allowed to judge us. People should judge us. We're being judged all the time anyway, all the time. This is just another one more thing in society. It's a more intense, clearly, because you are on a place where everybody's looking, all eyes are on you, right? But we have to say to ourselves, okay, listen, go ahead and judge me. Go ahead and judge me, because you can go ahead and judge me because I know that I'm going to try and give as much value as I can. I know that what I'm going to give, it's good. Think about, okay, let's say, here's the thing. Let's say I don't know, you bought a new coat and you love that coat. You love that jacket, right? It might be expensive, might not be, but you love it. And you chose it because you can visualize yourself in that jacket, and you love it. So when you walk out of your home and you walk along the road or street or high street or whatever, people are going to look at you. Not much, they don't really care about you, but there will be people that see you, right? Okay. But because you feel so good in that jacket, because you know that, okay, listen, it's okay, whatever. People have the right. It's actually, I'm just thinking right now, fashion is very much connected to public speaking, because the things we wear, we choose those and we feel comfortable with those. And sometimes it might be a crazy, colorful, pink outfit or whatever. It could be like something crazy, and everybody has the right to wear what they want to and how they want to be defined and how they want to be identified, right? But they feel comfortable with that, and that's okay. And it's the same as public speaking. When we go out, if we are comfortable with what we're saying, we're comfortable with the messages we're sharing, we're comfortable with, we believe in the things we say, then people, that's okay. People can judge us, like they can judge us if we're wearing a big green hat, whatever. But if we feel really comfortable with wearing that big green hat, then that's okay, right? So this idea of the fear, if we really get to grips with letting people judge us and then really focusing on not focusing on that judgment, but focusing on what we're sharing, the things we're going to say, how are we going to connect, what are the messages we want to share, how like storytelling comes into this so much as well, a great tool to really connect, resonate, and be memorable and really emotionally jump into somebody's mind and connect. And if we can do that, start to do that at least, and then hopefully develop that and do that well, then already that fear will start to reduce. We can reduce that fear just by focusing on the value we're going to share. And if we are prepared, again, preparation comes into this a lot. If the more prep you do, listen, it's all like, I suppose it's all like it's like revision for an exam. The more you invest into preparing for an exam or for a test, not always, but often it will the outcome will be a good outcome, right? You get more out of it. What you put into it is what you get out of it. So it's the same with preparation for a speaking job, an MC job, even a coaching job as well. The preparation you put into something, the more time you've thought about something, the more time you've thought about, okay, what's the value? I mean, the whole process of putting it all together. There are lots of moving little parts, but essentially, it's the preparation. You get that preparation. You do your preparation well. You feel comfortable with that preparation. You feel calm with that preparation. Then you can start to reduce that fear. Again, the more you do something, the more we get confident at it. So the more we do something, the more we get confident at it. So for example, right now, if me and you, we were to start, I don't know, if we were to start a knitting channel, I don't know, just a knitting, me and you, Stoya and Pia's knitting channel 2025. How to knit scarves, socks, underpants. I don't know. Can you knit underpants? No, then it's not made of wool. No, anything made of wool, knitting. Right. Right now, probably I have never done it before. Maybe you are an expert at knitting. I haven't. Maybe
My
not. Okay.
grandma is an
Maybe
expert.
not. You look like it's somebody who does knit well. However, I'm mistaken. But if we started that right now, it would be pretty crap. It would be pretty not good at all. I'm sure. Not great. However, the more we would do it, we would look at YouTube, we would look at others on YouTube who knit, we would probably get advice from others that consultants or people that not consultants, just people that knit really,
Knitting
our grannies
consultants.
that knit, right? And they would help us. And then over time, the more we would do the knitting, the better we get at it. And in our minds, our confidence would grow, right? And it would be a confidence growth, confidence growth. And we would get better at it and we will feel more confident at it. And then obviously with some help along the way from people that could really help us really take it to the next level, over time, we'd feel very good at it. We would feel at least in our minds, we wouldn't be feeling, what would people think of, what are people going to think of our knitting channel? What. So as I say, habits, the more we do something, the more we get comfortable with it in our minds, the more we feel confident at it. But then there's always a point where, because you could be doing something all the time, we could be doing this knitting channel for like 2 years, and everything we think it's good, but everything we knit, we're doing something wrong with it. One of the ways we're knitting, we're doing something clearly wrong, where we could maybe, if somebody showed us how to do it well, we could be saving time, and we could be knitting 100 scarves over a week rather than 25, right? So we need help along the way as well. Always remember that, because practice doesn't always make perfect. Practice and guidance, and I always say, makes perfect, because you could be practicing all the time and doing it in a way that's not right. Right. So So yeah, so the habit, the growth, doing something many times helps us to feel comfortable. And you know, as you do as well, I'm sure when you go, when you're on a stage, or you in front of an audience, you can visualize how this is going to run out. You see, you know how this is going to play out because you've done it many times before, and you've said many of the things you've said before, not exactly the same thing, but you've reframed it, but you know the reactions you're going to get from certain paragraphs or certain phrases or certain ways, and even that can extend to sometimes not jokes but just the lightheartedness of the environment. Sometimes you can come out with a phrase and you know it's going to work because it's worked before for that certain type of audience. So yeah, so bringing down reducing the fear is often about not thinking about the judgment, letting that be, and just focusing on that value. And you focus on the value, and that will does wonders in terms of reducing that fear.
I love it, man. I think you summarized it so well. I'm totally with you. Really helped me as well. Just to add
Mm,
a couple of small points, which I guess you also probably, I mean, everybody has their own ways or hacks or whatever you call it. But for me, I think initially it's setting the expectation with yourself, as you said. In the first few speeches I ever did, I was so nervous because I would compare myself with the best in the industry, the guys that I was following, and I would watch the video of my speech, and I'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm so bad. I'm not like Tony Robbins and Barack Obama and all these kind of incredible speakers." But you won't be. You know, that's your first speech. That's your 10th speech, and and you don't have to be. That's the other one. You need to find your style. If I try to be like Tony Robbins, I'm going to fail. I need to be the best version of Stoyan at that very moment. But the first 1 2 years of starting a speaking journey, that should be my workshop stage. The stage of I'm probably not going to be that good, and that's okay. I'm just going to do my best. I'll prepare. I'll talk about, as you said, topics that I know. I'll try to structure it. I'll get guidance, feedback, coaching, and I'll just show up. And then I'll maybe get a recording. I watch myself. I get some feedback. I get some guidance. I'll book myself for the next one. Now, a few things that I do to this day, as you said, talking to the event producer, trying to understand their objective, trying to understand their audience, their pain points, the energy of the event. Sometimes they're so busy, so you need to, in these pre-conversations you have on Zoom, you need to really ask them those really good questions so you can gather good information. I like to arrive at a venue ideally the day before my speech when they're setting up and preparing because I want to feel the stage. I want to talk to the people from the team, ask them a little bit about how was last year, what is the seniority of the people here, what are they interested about. I think networking, like I want to gather so much information. And the day of the event, let's say my speech is at 12. I would show up as early as I can, of course, sleeping properly, exercising ideally, being in my best shape, but showing up because I just walk around, I observe. I join many of the different stages. Usually, conferences have more than one stage, and I just listen. And I'm looking at the audience. Are they at their phones? Are they very much focused and they enjoy the content? Like, what are they? What kind of jokes do they enjoy? And I'll talk to many people. That's another one. I'll talk to many people before a speech, even throughout the whole day. But before a speech, I'll just go and say, "Hey, how's it going? You having fun? What do you? Why are you here? What do you want to hear from my speech? Why did you decide to join my speech instead of, oh, I want to learn more about personal productivity? Okay, cool, interesting. Thank you, Maria." So I walk around the stage. I already know 10 people. I kind of feel the energy. I understand what they need. I might make a local joke. Like if I'm in Germany, I can say something in German, make them laugh. Humor is another one. I don't feel nervous, but if I was feeling nervous, starting with a joke or joking about something in the about the conference, like it just really puts everybody at ease. So if I can get them with a little bit of humor,
Mm.
around the beginning. We can talk about the beginning of a talk, but humor is great, man. Like just joking about yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so these are just a few things that
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I mean, you know my style, right? So it's, again, as a host, if we look at the hosting side and the emceeing side, presenting side, you know, you've seen my style, and everybody's different. Everybody has different styles. And if audience now, if you think about your viewers right now, if you think about different presenters on TV, there are so many, and some are, you know, on shows that are nationwide and everybody knows their name, and there are some that are not. But again, in terms of the quality, everybody's got their own style, and what fits the certain context, that's important as well. If there's good connection, and sometimes some people are more playful than others. I like to be playful where I can, and where there's opportunity for that. Sometimes there's not a lot of opportunity for that, and that's okay. Sometimes in a context where maybe you wouldn't think there's room for that, often there is,
yes,
because people are people, right? And we want to smile, and if we can make something light-hearted, or find the kind of comedy in things, that can often help as well. That's actually part of being spontaneous as well, sort of really listening and really being focused and really being present with what's happening on the stage, right? On that stage experience. And again, sometimes it's you know, I like to be playful, and I like to inject that where I can. Again, things that I would find funny, and I've learned over the years, the things that I find funny on stage, usually, most of the time, nearly all of the time, are make people smile in the audience, right? But you have to, again, thinking that you're, again, there's a lot, we meet a lot of speakers, right? Some of them are fantastic, right? Absolutely great. Some of them have, like, high, as I said before, high levels of confidence, and they're good. Some people have high levels of confidence, but they're not so good, and their opinion of themselves is very high. Often I mean, listen, in the speaking world, there, you know, that is it's a quite a lonely job indeed, and often the only real kind of validation we get is that clap at the end. Right, if it's a large room and lots of people clap, but in fact, that's not. It's a false signal. It's a false evaluation of how we're doing, because an audience usually will always clap, but that doesn't mean you were good. Right? It doesn't mean that you had this great connection, right? So we see, as I say, we see lots of different speakers, different types of speakers, different styles, but you know, it's important to remember that how we see ourselves, and not taking ourselves too seriously, and knowing that, again, all these things is about uh, letting your audience judge you. And you don't, you know, if you I mean, a lot of speakers who are quite arrogant, I have to say.
yeah,
It's not, I think, I openly say that, and you've met many as well, and you can even just that short chat before they go on stage, like 3 or 4 minutes, chatting with them, just asking them about, you know, what the value is about what they're going to share, just so that could help me kind of reframe perhaps some of the messages I'm going to share on stage about what they're going to say, getting the audience ready emotionally. In that couple of minutes, you can feel straight away their opinion of themselves. And it's actually the ones that are actually quite introverted and quiet and calm, and, you know, interested, and know their value, know that one sentence. So always, this is what I always do. So I always ask before speakers go on stage. I always ask, can you just quickly tell me, give me one sentence in your own words, what's the value of really what you're going to share? What is it that, why should people listen to you? What would you say in your own words? And so many straight away, okay, let me think, and then they give me a sentence, a quick sentence that just gives me a little bit more juice, in terms of getting people ready emotionally, but not sharing everything, just getting them ready on an emotional level with intrigue and curiosity as to why people should, as to why they should listen. Right? Some they have no idea. They're like, okay, let me think about that, and I'm not quite sure. And I said to him, listen, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. But already I'm thinking, well, listen, if you don't know that value, that one sentence, which is, why people should listen to you right now, what are you going to share? What is the thing that is going to change in their minds after you've finished? What is the real value you're going to share? Why should people listen? If you don't know that, your audience will not know that. So,
Yeah.
so that's something I always ask. And you see speakers like this all the
I mean,
time.
look, there's speakers, there's many speakers,
Yeah,
but not all of them are professional speakers. And we
correct.
need to be aware of that as well. There's many, let's say there's a corporate executive invited to deliver a speech, great credibility, great experience. They're not necessarily professional speakers. So, and I love what you're saying that your job as an MC is not just to show up on stage and introduce the
No.
person on the stage. It's a lot more than that, and it's a lot more. The best MCs they'll be the one that in the back of the stage they'll create the energy, they'll prepare the speakers, they ease them up, they talk to everybody. They're the heart of the event, and it's a tedious job. It's a tedious job. As you said, sometimes it might be days. You have to be sharp for 8, 12 hours. I don't know. And you're jumping around. You're behind the stage talking to the next speaker. They're a little bit nervous because they're not professional speakers. And you try to
Yeah,
prepare them best so they can deliver to the audience.
yeah. It's
Next moment you look at the script, but you gotta listen to the speaker because you want to make a connection from the previous speaker to the next speaker. So you're juggling with too
absolutely
many hats, man.
many small things and prepping. Sometimes it's a stage manager that does that. Sometimes it's you, but I actually like to do it as much as I can. Right, managing, like, not just hosting the stage but managing the stage as well. So those small things of getting them ready and just letting them know, about the timer in the front again, and what will happen, how's this going to unfold. I will do this. I will say, the last thing I say is the name. The jingle will start. You got about 5 seconds to walk on stage, and then away you go. At the end, if you want questions, let me, tell me now that you're going to do that, so I know, we all know that's going to happen. Keep it in touch. So all these small things, but again, sharing that with them, and then they're aware of it, and then they do these things, and then it just helps everything to kind of keep compact and keep on time as well. Because again, you have one day and you have got, I don't know, 10 to 15 sessions, and there's sometimes very short gaps in between, sometimes no gaps at all, sometimes not even lunch breaks, right? Not even gaps at all, which is fine. That's how the organizers want to do things. Then it's your job to really manage everything as tight as possible, because 60 seconds on each of those, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more here and there, and then somebody maybe doesn't turn up, maybe somebody's late, and you can't start without them. By the end of the day, you've lost time. And so this impression from the audience side, keeping on time, especially if it's online as well, it has to be timely. Everybody's waiting. People have paid money for these sessions. They might have paid money, to come along, and there's one particular session that has been at the forefront of their mind. When they actually bought that ticket, they were thinking to themselves, this is the session I want. Everything else is kind of cool, and I enjoy being there, but that is the session I want to be at. And if that session is late, or even sometimes, I see at different events, maybe even earlier than when it should have started, that person that bought that ticket is like disappointed. So it's all these things that you juggle with, and I like to do that, and I know you do as well.
Oh, absolutely, man. Same thing as a speaker. No, your job is not just to show up and speak. As you said, there's many speakers showing up a little bit arrogant. They do their thing. They never research the audience. They just have their speech, the same speech, show up, do the speech, leave. Yeah, but people want to talk to you. Maybe you want to stay. You want to talk to people. The organizers are under so much pressure. People don't understand how much pressure is on an event producer, especially at the day of the event. You want to be there for them when you finish your speech, even before your
Yeah.
speech. You're not so busy if you're a speaker. If you're an MC, you're busy. If you're a speaker, you're not that busy. You can go and just support them. Hey, how's it going? Is there anything we can do? There's people there. They don't talk to anybody. I just go and I network and I connect people. I talk positively about the event. Like, there's so much more than just the
Stoyan, you're absolutely right. And so again, the role of a or the life of an event organizer, it's tough, right? Because it's putting everything together and often months, even a whole year for many, right? Putting it all together, and then the climax of all this is this event, right? So the levels of anxiety is quite high, even for professionals that have been doing it for many years. This is that's high stakes, and everything has come to this climax, right? So their levels of anxiety is really high. So anything we can do, so in terms of the MC or the host, really letting them, really reassuring them that it's okay. I've got everything in terms of the stage. I'm managing this. I've got this. I don't have to call you every like 5 minutes to work out something. I can solve these issues and I can create this stage experience with the crew and with the people that are around me. Yeah. So as a speaker as well, not really bothering that the event organizers. But again, one thing I would say is that the claps after each of these keynotes, although the claps are for the speakers, really the claps, the applause, really, if you think about it, it's actually how hard they clap is really down to the event organizer who put it all together, right? So they're clapping for the success of the event, right? Because if you have speakers that are not great, people will clap anyway, but they won't clap hard, right? Or they won't stand up, or they won't want to talk to those speakers afterwards, or whatever, right? But so the success of an event often is, we hear those claps, but those claps are actually for the event organizer, right? Because it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. It's a real kind of puzzle putting all the pieces together. I'm just one of those pieces. Okay, I'm the piece that maybe people see the most,
yes.
and they think I'm the face of it. But again, I am just like the last kind of like cherry on the top. That's it. But underneath, that puzzle is full of pieces, and we can't do our jobs without all those pieces together. And the person that's putting those pieces together often is the that event organizer, right? Who's thought about how everything's going to run. A good event organizer, right? Good event organizers putting it all together, having a plan, a strategy, and how everything comes together. And again, the role I play is essentially when people hire me, they're like, usually, we've got Peter. He's the one who's going to take care of the stage. We trust him. He can do that well. He's done it many, many times before. High stakes. He makes people feel comfortable, makes the speakers feel comfortable, and he's our man, right? If they want to go with someone like me, and again, they have the right to not go with someone like me. They can go with. There are so many other MCs, great MCs as well, and it's what they feel and what's right for them, right?
That's
So,
right.
so yeah, this puzzle, and just accepting you are one piece of that puzzle. You're not the main piece. I am not the main piece. I am never the main piece. Audience might think so, but that's not true at
No,
all. We are just
that,
one small piece. And,
that's it.
and and we can't do it. We need that crew. We need the lighting guys, the audio guys, the having a real kind of being together on the same page, making this whole fun, not always fun, but all this good good, feel good experience, live experience, if it's a conference, even online as well, making that work, and getting to those objectives that you wanted to get to when you had
By
those
the way,
first
this
conversations.
is one of my kind of favorite parts. It's very interesting and a bit weird in a way because um, as speakers and as MCs, we go to a different event quite often, right? And we have to work with a new team every time. Of course, we have the same customers and sometimes work with the same teams, but for the most part, you go to an event, there's a new technical team. You have to befriend people quickly, and you have to team up, and then you have this great day, and then the next day you fly to a different conference, you do the same thing, right? So I think it's also this kind of a camaraderie, this kind of a friendship with you go to the technical guys, you give them, hey guys, well done, everything looks smooth. Like again, gets their energy up. You're friendly, you crack a joke. If they're nervous, you see if they can help them. Hey, everything is fine, I got it, right? So I love this part. However, I see the time is going, and I wanna talk a little bit about storytelling.
Yeah.
Um, Man, to me, the most impactful speakers are the ones that are telling stories well. Of course, the energy and the charisma is very important. Of course, the material, the information, the knowledge, the facts that they share are very important, make you think, right? But I would say stories and examples, man, that's what I remember from, and that's what I'm trying to incorporate in my speaking. What's your relationship with storytelling? Why do you care about storytelling? Why should we learn to be better storytellers?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's one of the tools, one of the strongest tools. Actually, in my mind, there are two main tools in terms of how we can really connect with an audience when people are looking at us, and to keep that attention and to resonate and to relate and to be memorable. All those things that kind of are in the bag of a kind of a good speaker, right? Or a good speech. I would say more of a good speech, right? Because speakers come in all shapes and sizes. They could be confident, they could be shy, they could be introvert, they could be extrovert, they could be a bit quirky, they could be whatever. Doesn't matter, because what matters is what you're sharing, right? The messages you're sharing and what they mean to the audience. So that actually means you don't actually, I mean, contrary to what many people believe, you don't have to be that confident to give a fantastic speech, right? So one of the tools, there were two tools in my mind. One of those is the voice, actually. So a voice mean so much. A voice can sway someone's opinion, influence somebody who's listening to you far more than maybe any other signal that you're sharing, interestingly. And the other one obviously is the ability to connect with storytelling, right? And this idea of storytelling, we often think it's a big, enormous, epic kind of long start, middle, end stories, right? But in fact, it's far more simple than that, far more simplistic, because stories are essentially moments of emotion that are happening around us all the time, that are happening to us, things that have happened to me, to you, to other people. It's always that people. It's always that people, because it's the emotion, right? We can talk about different things. I was listening to a podcast not so long ago, again on storytelling, and it was all about the kind of logos and the stories of how logos and brands have developed. But it's not really about the logo or the brand. It's about the emotion from the decisions and the people connected with creating those brands, the logos, the impressions, the feelings, right? So it's always about those moments of emotion, and those moments of emotion are what appeal to us. We are always always attracted to emotion, how people feel, right? So, and that gets us to think about us. It makes us think about our lives and how we would deal with something, with those emotions. So if I talk to you about something that happened to me, if I share with you right now something that happened to me yesterday, it's something that I would never want anybody else to experience at all. At all. It happened to me yesterday. I'm going to share with you now exactly what unfolded. So here we go. I'm not going to, but just telling you that already in your mind, there's okay. This is an emotion. It's a negative emotion. It's an emotion that I experienced that I don't want you to experience. And already, most of us now, we're like, okay, well, what is that? I'm curious. I want to know what this is. So stories do all of these things. Yeah. Curiosity. They're unpredictable. You didn't. So this story, you have no idea what I'm going to say, but you're happy with that. You're comfortable with that. You want that because you
Now
don't know where we're going.
you left everybody on a
Well,
cliffhanger. You're
yeah.
like, if you're Peter, you know,
Well, what
it's just,
happened? Oh, I don't know.
you receive like 20
I know.
messages
What
already.
the hell's going on? So yeah. So it's unpredictable, and this unpredictability is a good thing because it all connects with curiosity, and we need to get our listeners curious, because if they're curious, they want to know, aren't they? Want to know, they want to figure stuff out, they want to make sense of stuff, and essentially, but most audiences want that. That's why they're listening, because they want to, they want to feel intrigued to maybe change something, or maybe no, maybe not, maybe they don't want to change, right? But they're still intrigued to see if what they hear will change some of their ideas, right? So just bringing, in a nutshell, really bringing stories into, not all the time, but just now and again, into the words that you share about things that have happened to you, things that have happened to others, things that have happened to your clients, things that have happened to um partners, things that have happened, or things simply that are random events, but there's a message, a key message that can be connected to what you want to share, right? So
Well,
stories do so many things, so
a
many
couple of
things.
years ago, I had to give a speech in Slovakia at a conference, and I had to talk about my framework, but um, the perform framework, the M from perform is mental toughness. And I just experienced something the day before the conference. I decided to include it. So I show a picture of a gym, and I ask the audience, "Do you guys know what is the commonality between all gyms in Eastern and Central Europe?" Everybody's like, "No clue." And then I'm show them another picture. I'm like, "Well, every time you go to the men's changing room, there is a cleaning lady during working hours." And that's the thing. People start laughing because they know it. They
Oh,
resonate. The guys in the audience resonates, right? I'm like, the first time I saw her, mm, people naked, taking showers. She's cleaning, man. She doesn't give an F. She's focused on the job, man. She's fully there. And I started smiling first time. And 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 she looked at me, she's like, I'm working here for 20 years. What? If you know what I've seen. And she kept doing her job. She didn't give an F. And then I finished with, be like the cleaning lady in the mass changing room. Don't give an F. This is what you got to do as an entrepreneur. Da, 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 right? So,
perfect. When you say that, that just reminds me of, like, how many airports have you gone to the bathroom at the men's in at airports? There's again always a female, a cleaning lady, right? I always. I mean, always. Yeah.
yeah. So, but the thing is, some people after, they see me after 2 years. Hey, man, the cleaning lady story. They didn't
Great.
remember whatever the other message, whatever. People remember the stories, man.
Yeah.
People, they resonate. It stays with you, and the message. And I love Les Brown, one of my favorite speakers. He used to say, "Never make a point without telling a story,
Mm.
and never tell a story without making a point."
Mm. Beautiful. Yeah, there's this idea as well. It's actually to do with the connection with our brains as well. When we see ourselves in the story, right? We start to then there's this connection of we start to then imagine how we would behave like them in the story, right? Or in terms of how we connect with other people, in terms of our decisions, in terms of so many things. When our kind of brains, if they're like patterns of the two brains of the actual character we're talking about, and our brain, bang, it actually connects. Which is why when we're watching a movie or a film, and we get engrossed in it, we have no idea of time, and we have no idea what's happening in our world. We're just focused on this film, or characters in soap operas who we see often, and because we see them often, we know them very, very well. We kind of know what they would do in so many situations because it's those characters we've known over months, sometimes years. That's why we're so attracted to these characters and attracted to these stories as well, because we can see ourselves in this context for different moments. So yeah, there are I mean, again, so many different benefits of sharing stories. And again, the bigger, I'd say, again, if we was to kind of wrap up this storytelling part right now, is never feel that stories have to be big. They're happening all the time. They're moments of emotion, things that are happening to you, to me, to everyone around us. And if you can find a meaning, always a meaning somehow with that emotion, then that's what you're looking for, right? Because a story without a meaning is just is emotion, right? Let me just tell you what happened. Like, you meet your friend for coffee and you tell them about something that happened a couple of days ago that was embarrassing, right? That's a story, right? It is a story, but there's emotion, embarrassment as well. But if there was some kind of a meaning where maybe you're not going to do that again, or you learned something from it, or it's actually the same thing that happened like 10 years ago, but it was in a different context, or a coincidence happened as well. All these different things, you need some kind of a meaning as well. So yeah, I love to help people find the stories and find the right stories. Often speakers have got lots of stories, but again, sometimes it's about really narrowing it right down and really focused on, let's say, one main story and then a couple of other smaller ones. So it's finding them, nurturing them, and then delivering them in the right way.
And from one story to another, we already 10 minutes above the time.
Oh, wait.
I don't know if you have a few more minutes.
Yeah,
Maybe you
sure.
have, yeah, because the thing, look at two people telling stories and we can't stop, right?
Yeah.
But the last topic I wanted to cover a little bit is, and you kind of hinted a little bit on that, but it's the business of speaking, the business of emceeing. And again, many people look at you on LinkedIn or follow you and they're like, everything comes easy to Peter, man. He's a professional. People just call him. Uh, but I know you're a hustler. Um,
Mhm.
how how did you start? How did you kind of convince people initially to hire you instead of everybody else? And just the real picture, how much do you still reach out these days?
Yeah, no, constantly reaching out, and 60% of my work is me reaching out and contacting potential um events which I think I would work well with, right? That I think I'll be a good match. Many are not a good match. Straight away I can see from the after movie, or just look at the whole feel that I wouldn't be right for what they're looking for. Maybe they don't want to change. Maybe they already have an MC that they don't want to change. Maybe they're working with someone for years and that's all good and that's fine. Maybe they want a specific type of person. Maybe they're looking for a female that is uh, a female MC, which I can't compete against. Right. So it's actually reaching out to lots people that I've worked for before as well. Maybe they're the time is right and it's going to work well together again, this kind of partnership. Maybe not, and that's all okay. A lot of people, recommendations, people that have seen me on stage, people that have worked with me before. They know not just how I work, what people see on the stage in that stage experience, but also they know kind of like what happens behind the scenes, and the value I can bring to the event as a whole as well. So it is constantly reaching out, like in any kind of entrepreneurship role. There's a lot of setbacks, ups and downs, lots of rejection, lots of great events, and lots of, I really love what I do. But at the same time, if people haven't seen you, or they don't know you, or they haven't seen a video of you, or they have their own crowd, they have their own kind of, not tribe, but they have their own kind of set of people that they know and they trust. It's very difficult sometimes to break into that, and that's all okay. That's all okay, right? But again, off the off chance, there was for example, an event not so long ago, a few weeks ago, in fact, I reached out to somebody and for their event, they already had someone, but the chap said to me, listen, would you be willing to do an event next week for a colleague of mine, because his I found out eventually afterwards that that MC they had before, he simply had he couldn't speak. There was something wrong with his throat, so he had to back out. So they needed someone they could trust, needed something quickly, someone quick who could step in. He contacted me. He looked at my video within. He told me within like 30 seconds he knew that I was the right guy for his event. And we worked out a deal, went over there, did it, all good, potentially working again in Asia for the next one. So sometimes it's timing, but you just have to keep going, because your motivation some days are not great. Some, all the work is when I'm back home, back here in Croatia, back here, um, selling myself, connecting, looking for those connections which will lead to jobs and lead to connections that may lead to coaching jobs as well. So it's just all that work is when I'm here. So when I'm away, when I get on a plane and go over to the venue or to the event, I wouldn't say that's not the easy part, but that's the part that is my role. But a big part of my role is what people don't see,
Yeah.
back here every day, connecting, finding people that are looking for people like me, right? Finding event organizers that are a right match for me. Maybe often they don't know that we're a right match because I've reached out to them. Yeah. And then once we fast forward, we've done the event, and they're like, well, yeah, I'm out of chance. It's almost like they say it's out of chance that you reached out, but it wasn't out of chance. So, I'm strategically looking at events that would be the right match. Again, not every event with so many is right for me and right for them. So it's finding that match. It's finding that marriage, not marriage. It's finding that relationship, yeah, kind of relationship, yeah, that business relationship that works for both.
Thank you for sharing, man. For those of you who are listening and you maybe in a slump or you have this kind of a bad period now and things are not working out. I mean, Peter's been in the industry for many, many, many years. I've been uh, doing my thing for more than 10 years and we keep hustling, man. I mean, we're quite busy, we're quite booked, but trust me, when I'm home, it's just following up, asking for
Yeah,
recommendations, reaching out. It's a lot of work people don't see. They just see us on pictures on the events, on the
yeah,
conferences. We're smiling, and it's what you gotta do if you want to attract opportunities. You gotta work for it.
absolutely. It hasn't just come. It just did. It wasn't by chance. All of this is not by chance. It's working for it, and accepting that sometimes it's not going to go well, accepting the rejection, accepting that, again, those things I mentioned earlier on, not everybody's going to appreciate you and value you. And I guess that's in any industry. That's when we're freelance and when we're doing our best to reach out to potential clients and create fresh new business. It's accepting that, and that's part of a sales role. We are selling ourselves and looking for the right match. And always remember. So I always remember, even when I get the rejections, I always remember that's okay, that's cool. It doesn't feel good, but I think it's all good. It's cool, because there are many other doors that will open. Many doors, I know many doors will shut, and they will this year, many doors will shut, right? Doors that are already shut and they won't even open, right? But there will be other doors that maybe somebody else will open for me, right? Or there'll be a door that will be open, and it
Mhm.
will, and I will just by chance stumble across the door and it will open, and that will be an opportunity.
I've
Right.
got. I agree, man, and maybe kind of wrapping up with that, but I've I think every time you need to show up as your best. You prepare a proposal, you do your best, you plan it, you prepare it, you show up, you present, you talk to the people. Sometimes they choose somebody else, you're not a good fit, but the fact that you were so professional, so positive, even when they reject you, the way you accept the rejection, I've had people that rejected me for a certain event or opportunity, and then the same people recommend me to some other event because they're like, this guy's professional, positive. He knows his stuff. He wasn't a fit for our event for some kind of reason, but they recommend to somebody else. So always do your best. Always leave a nice impression. Always be positive. Just be a bigger person, and it's a long term game, right? And referrals, recommendations, that your reputation is going to go in front of you. So Peter, it's been so great, man. I mean, I feel like we're just warming up. I feel like we're just warming up.
Yeah, just started. It's a marathon. It's a day marathon of me and you, bit of knitting in between.
Oh,
I can't,
amen to that.
we should do this again.
We should, man. It's just the end of part one. I hope you guys listening had some fun, some inspiration, some practical ideas. Let us know in the comments. By the way, Spotify is having comments these days. Let us know in the comments what was one idea that resonated with you. And of course, if you enjoyed the episode, share it with a friend. Subscribe to Productivity Mastery. This is the only one ask I'm gonna have from you. Subscribe to Productivity Mastery. The more subscribers we have on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the easier it is for us to we have the leverage to bring people like Peter and incredible people on the podcast. So please do that if you may. And Peter, final kind of words. Where could people connect with you? If there's any event producers, if there's anybody who wants to improve their speaking presentation skills, where could they find you? Get in touch.
It very simply check out my LinkedIn profile, find me, my name, and public speaking coach, storytelling coach, TEDx coach, and have a look. Check out what I'm doing. I've got show reels. You can see lots of videos and some of the events. Well, no, not some of the events. Most of the events that I'm doing globally, and if that tickles your fancy, if you think someone like me would be a good fit for you, for your team, to help them share better stories, or to take care and manage and host your event wherever it is in the world, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation and then see how things unfold.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks everybody for making you till the end of the episode. And I'll see you again next week. We have another amazing guest. Zoltan Vardy is coming back. He has a new book, The Launch Code. He's going to talk about the key insights from his new book. So make sure to tune in. Until then, have a nice weekend and see you next week once again. Bye bye.
Ciao.